very special guest with us today, Mr. Tom Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Thank you so much for being here this Saturday.
Good. Thanks so much for having me on your program. Really appreciate it.
So I just wanted, let's start out this way. Why don't you tell us, your background and, how you got into, the whole process of, trying to re-engineer the primary process.
That's a long story, but, my background is actually in engineering. I have a mechanical engineering degree that I got more than 4 decades ago. And I started out working in factory automation. I stumbled upon an idea to have people work from home, mostly as a thing inspired by having 3 older sisters, a company called Bookminders. I launched Bookminders in 1991, but we pioneered really home-shoring, outsourced bookkeeping and accounting. And over the last 35 years, built it into a really nice company. The CEO of the company, Jessica Minkus, really, I still own it, but she runs it and has a great management team. And they retired me like 7 years ago. And so I was just always fascinated by why gerrymandered districts exist and why people just kind of keep getting reelected, why there isn't competition. This whole notion that something that ought to be competed for, like an Olympic team spot, people just to get to keep it.
Right.
So
exactly.
that really bothered me, and I spent a lot of time looking at it. I finally, during the COVID, I made a promise that if I got PPP money, because I felt like, hey, I need some insurance here. I employed a lot of people, and I wanted to make sure they still had their jobs. And we also support a lot of nonprofits. We wound up using a lot of that PPP money to provide free and discounted services to nonprofit organizations and retail businesses that didn't get the support they really needed. So we kind of looked at all of our clients at who's most desperate, and we paid forward a lot of the money that we got, plus made sure our employees. But anyway, getting back to that promise, I said, hey, if we get this, I want to do something. I know I don't want to run for office because I don't want to become part of that system. And I figured that changing a law seemed like a really huge thing. I wasn't a lawyer, and I thought, maybe there's a way to do this within the system. And my first thing was just to do a political party. And then I had this idea that was really based on a joke. One day I just said, we do a better job selecting the next American Idol than we do the next representative of Congress.
Right.
And
it's true.
And then I thought, it made me think, maybe we can do something like that. I mean, nobody can buy their championship on American Idol. If people find it compelling, that's, people watch. And I thought, if we make a fair contest, maybe people will engage, and you make it easy to engage, but still make it secure. I mean,
right.
Drew's not going to be able to just keep hitting 888 something and vote for candidate.
That was going to be one of my questions, actually, because, we've seen so much lately about election integrity and that. And, I've thought about that in the past, too, with like, hey, with all the new technology that we have, there's got to be a better way. When people talk about, like, election integrity and turnout, if there was a way to, do one person, one vote without, without any, fraud or anything like that, or without even needing an ID, then I don't think a lot of people would have a problem with that. But that's how you get the one vote, one, with the ID kind of thing, right?
Well, what we want to do is turn mobile devices into mini ballot boxes and link them to your ID and that you're a member of that district. And then whenever you vote, or it's actually not a voting system, it's a nominating system. But whenever you apply your support to potential nominees, you have to put your face in front of your phone and you have to do re-verify. And this is existing technology. I was big surprised that I was thinking I'd have to spend millions of dollars, spend tons of time building secure mobile voting technology. There's actually 3 competing technologies out there. One's been used in the military for a long time, because they want to make sure people who are serving this country that can't get a physical ballot out can get their vote out. It's called VOTZ, VOATZ, and it allows you to do that in a more secure way than we currently have at the ballot box. But so our app is already plugged into that backbone, and we have a beta version of it on there that you can play with. In fact, at some point I'll bring it up and show you on my iPad, but you can bring it up on your screen.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. I think, even if you have like I think there's a way of like actually letting you commandeer the screen. You can show whatever you want. I think that's one of the reasons I jumped.
Oh, that's right. We're in. We're in.
It's one of the reasons I switched over to Google. Google so,
yeah.
So we could try that. So but yeah, so we can try that in a bit. But let me ask you this question: what do you think the biggest hurdle is to getting this technology into the next phase where people will actually use it, it'll be adopted, and all of that? What do you think that biggest hurdle is?
To me, it's been really getting traction and making the break into the mainstream media. Getting some coverage. I spent a lot of money last fall trying to get major networks to cover us, all during that gerrymandering stuff, and say, hey, we have a legal way to combat gerrymandering. The app wasn't yet demonstrable, but we have videos of the prototype that the college kids came up with. And so, is it really that hard to wrap your head around this idea that we can't use mobile technology to create some sort of contest? I mean, come on, this is
right.
Instead
of doing like polling, for example. With a polling thing, a lot of people like to look at polling, but you're looking at a small sample size most of the time of like 1,000 people. You're not looking at the whole picture. So something like this too would take somebody with your engineering background to make it scalable on that much bigger level, for example, right?
Yeah. This is kind of a bare bones version of you can see that you can run for office without spending money on advertising. That's the key thing. And the content is really more public service announcement tone, not like this guy versus that guy or this party versus that party. That it's really about the issues. So the way this works is that a local committee will determine 7 issues that will be the issues will be on the ballot. Like every year people say, oh, inflation's on the ballot or whatever. So the local committee will play a hand in that. And to get into the contest, the prospective candidates have to weigh in on those, left, center, right, yes, no. And in the beta version, you can see that we picked 7 issues: Iran, inflation, borders. 2 of the local ones are kind of like Philly specific. The 2 districts in our mock-up are PA1 and PA2, which are one's a red and one's a heavily blue district right in around Philly. Bucks County is the red district. And but what it shows you is that you can go in without looking at that. We have 100 candidates. Think about it. If it's free and equal and you can enter, you're gonna have a lot of people entering. So you can go in, you can enter 3 or 4 issues that you feel strongly about and see who matches up. And without looking at it, there's a thing called approval voting where you're allowed to endorse as many people as you want. You can say, hey, endorse them all 20. Let's see who makes the top 20.
Right.
Maybe then I'll look at them, or maybe not. Maybe there's 8. That seems like a lot of work. Americans are lazy. So we had to come up with a system that was going to be really simple. And then when you get down to the top 10 or the top 4, more and more interest is going to come into it because it's going to be easier for people to say, hey, I can wrap my head around 10 candidates. And our goal would be over this successive of 5 rounds that we would build up to have a turnout that when we do our debate round, the last round between the final 2, that the number of people that weigh in equals or exceeds the number of people participating in the primary. If we do that, then we're the favorite. Because our winner survived a gauntlet and their winner survived a cakewalk. Right. And is the same old person they've seen year after year.
I would say, this is such a big idea too, because in the state of Michigan, we have the weakest GOP in the country, honestly. And so we have these situations where, like in 2022 midterms, everything. You constantly see in the state of Michigan that Democrats out fundraise. It's not even to say out fundraise. There's a lot of dark money that comes in. But for example, state Senate race here in Michigan, Republicans were outraised money-wise for ads 11-1. So there was no ads run for virtually one of the candidates. But you talk about that money difference when you have all sorts of money on one side, then you can play those ads over and over and over again and essentially buy an election just based on exposure because you're blocking out the other candidate. where this would actually step in the process of that to make sure money wasn't an issue. Both candidates got equal play time.
Right. And so I'm trying to have this chart of gerrymandered districts. I want to see what I have in Michigan 12, Michigan 12 and 13. Am I right?
Let me see if you might be able to click. Is there a button down there for you to to share screen?
Oh, you mean for the demo of the app?
Yeah.
Sure. I was just seeing which districts in Michigan would potentially be targets. 2, 5 in the red, 2, 5, and 9, and 12 and 13 in blue. But we would not go after every district. The numbers have to be right. You don't want to go into a district that's too close, because if you split the vote, then the opposition party has a chance. You want to have it where the opposition party is only getting like 20 to 30% of the vote, and they could not put up a candidate,
Right.
So let me find the, I want to make sure I do this correctly. Show you the app.
This will be the first time I tried this too, so hey, that's one of the reasons I switched to this software, because then I can watch videos, I can let other people share the screen for stuff like this, so let's give it a shot here. But yeah. So you think, in terms of with your, engineering background, you're really a process guy, I can see. So you kind of saw the process and you're like, well, here's a few places we can tweak it to make it more competitive and, more fair.
Correct.
All right, let's see.
So here, is this coming up?
Yep. Boom, you have my full screen. That is all you, my friend. Let's show us the demo.
So let me clear this out. But so yeah, this in this district, this is a demo of our. There's a 1-minute video describes this, but the idea again that we're lazy. Let's pick trade. I'm going to pick a moderate position because it tends now. This is a red district, so the candidates lean red. So we have some really conservative, moderate pink candidates. So you can see right now, just 51 matches just on the trade issue. So let's say borders. Let's say that now see if you want them open, that would, in a red district, it's going to go to nothing. So we wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
So now this brings you 15 back. And then let's say on the local issue, again, thinking a little bit about how a conservative, this should be funded by the state. It'll probably so in this model, you'd say, hey, I want to endorse them all. And you say endorse all 9. Now, we're going to add to the demo that this is where you would present your face. We're now putting in features in here that show how the security works, right? First, we just wanted the thing to work.
Absolutely.
But now we go, we're in round 1. We're going to go to round 2. Out of those, only 2 of them made it through. And again, you can endorse them. You could go, let's see these candidates. Well, there's one. And then we're just showing that you could have them speaking, doing their pitch here. We can go to their profile page and see, okay, they exactly match you on trade, border, and infrastructure. And it will go through these, and then also show their positions on the other issues. And then in the live version, we're going to let them go into more detail on, they can go into the nuance of their position. So you'd say, yeah, okay, we're all taking this general position, but people want to, potential candidates want to describe it further, so they'd have an opportunity there to do that. And so this is showing, I believe, the 2 that are left in there. There's supposed to be one other PSA. I don't know, where's, let's see if it's here. Yeah, so this would show that, you could play the different messages that are from them. There's supposed to be a second video. But I use it.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't want them to call them ads. We just say they're public service announcements. And and that they're. That's kind of how it works. So you would go through 3 rounds, and then you get to the top 4. Oh, I should. What we're doing in this beta version, we're showing 4 different ways to get to a top 2. One is a ranked choice. One is a star voting. One is approval, meaning you can do what you did in the earlier rounds. And the other one's one that I made up called Pick 2. which is I'm nicknaming the Panera method.
So what do you think of ranked choice voting, like they have, like they've tried to push in Alaska, for example?
I actually, I think to get from 4 to 2, and when you have a fixed field and you make everybody the way we're doing it, I think there's no holes. The problem with ranked choice is if you don't know the field size, you really can't require everybody to rank everybody. When we get to a top 4, we're going to require everybody to rank all 4. That every vote counts equally. So if you do ranked choice voting and nobody wins in that first round, and say there's 1 million people participated and 100,000 didn't rank, the next round, it looks like only 900,000 people voted. And then people look at it, they go, as you go through the ranking, it's less people are participating because, say, I ranked 1 and 2, went to third round, I didn't do 3. Now the numbers drop even further. And people don't like that generally about ranked choice. Our system doesn't have that problem because if you rank all 4, and actually since you're getting to a top 2, you only just take the 4th place finisher out, reallocate their votes, and then see how it turns out. And in our model, we're showing that the 1st place finisher stays where they are, but the 2nd and 3rd switch places when you re-rank. So part of this is like allowing people to really understand these things better, play with the system. We don't need to wait for an election to educate people on how this could work.
Right. Now, do you think candidates would adapt to this as well? That this is something that the candidates would eventually need to adapt to?
Well, I think we're looking at going forward, 2 different types of candidates. Ones that want to operate in a free and equal process where they don't have to sell their souls. They can go to D.C., do the citizens' work and not be constantly fundraising. So all they have to do is come back and go through the free and equal process again. Right. And then the other people want to buy their office and be under the influence of money. And one in the FAQs, I think one of the first FAQs is like, why would candidates want to do this? And I said, well, if they can buy an office, they probably won't.
Right.
Well, if you're one of those people that has the cash to, win under this current system, this is not going to be attractive to you. But I think people want different candidates. I think people, like for me, I thought for a minute of running for Congress, and I was like, no way. I don't want to sell my soul. But this is a system where people would not have to sell their soul.
Right. And that's an important thing, especially to myself as a Christian, right? And the same thing with that too, is that you do have, it really allows people to really get both sides of the argument, something that you don't get from the news anymore, where you get this side of the argument, but this is also what they're saying, and they actually hear both sides of the argument versus just one side, or even an echo chamber where people get stuck in there, in their own conversations with each other, just constantly listening to each other, affirm each other, you get kind of a more of a dialogue, it's like Charlie Kirk said, once the dialogue stops, that's when violence starts, But
and I think I worry about, the violent disruption. I think the fact that we're the party itself, will only distribute equal number of contests. So if the super PAC is really determining how big our pool is and how many campaigns we can go into, and they say it's 20, we're only going to distribute 10 red, 10 blue. And if it's 40, it's 20 red, 20 blue. If it's 10, it's 5 and 5. Can never be 11.
Right. Well, I would say too, with look at what the 2020 or the 2024 election, for example, the Democrats just kind of coordinated Kamala Harris in there without any votes, and she wasn't probably the best person for that. I think a lot of people think Josh Shapiro would have been a better candidate and all of that, but they just coordinated her.
I like your governor,
Whitmer.
I mean, for their candidate, I thought she would have been the best candidate. If they had gone to convention, that was my prediction. She would have come out.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. I think she's likable in a lot of ways. I think she's likable. There's a little bit of baggage there because you have, COVID stuff that still lingers with,
She was their least worst option.
That's the truth. I mean, yeah. But when she did go overseas or whatever, and they asked her a question about foreign policy, she was like, well, I'm going to leave that to the experts. It's like, well, that's not the most presidential thing you could have said there. But I agree with you. I think she would have been probably more liked than Kamala Harris.
But our focus is on the House and really putting competition where there typically is none, and putting a system of accountability in. I have to say, Drew, I've been on now again over 50 podcasts in the last 3 months, and left, right, center. And the topic, you can hardly tell the ideology of the people I'm talking to. They all hate the way people are elected equally.
Right.
And I think it's one thing that people. It's interesting. The one thing the Republicans and Democrats in Congress agree on is that they don't want to change the system, and one thing that liberals and conservatives outside the system agree on: we need to change the system.
Correct. Yeah, it's kind of like insider trading. They're never going to get rid of that because that'd hurt themselves, right? That'd make it harder on them to make more money, all of that kind of stuff. But what do you think? Like you would have to put together cybersecurity wise to put something like this and make it into fruition? Because like you have these major companies that have thousands of IT people there that would make sure just little things within the company website and payment centers and everything's going smoothly. With something like an election kind of thing, do you think that would take a large amount of like cyber security, IT kind of thing to keep secure and manage?
I know I kind of scoff at some of this stuff. I mean, we bank, we gamble, we do all this stuff in a secure way. And again, it's a nominating system, not an election system. So if we get hacked, we can always rerun it. Right. And that's the thing is that, do banks get hacked? Yeah. I run an accounting, and so what? Are we going to hold back the entire system of people engaging and participating over this? And there's all this, know your customer technology that's out there. I think I mentioned that there's 3 different platforms. We're already plugged in. So I don't really see it. We do need to build a bank. You have to pay tolls to execute over the blockchain. So, you have a cost there, and we have to figure out like how that cost is distributed. But really, this is about, finding a loophole in the system that allows us to put a new way of choosing our representative that actually our voice matters, that we're actually going to have a hand. And actually, the donors don't matter at all. And they can't get in. I'm thinking that when we go into a district, only people in the district will have access to the content. And, you could do this.
To take the money out of the equation. There's no money in the equation, so it doesn't matter who's lobbying who or anything like that, right? It was like, I always bring it up because I always thought it was a good line, but it was Robin Williams said that he wishes politicians would wear like the jackets like NASCAR drivers with all the sponsors on it, because then at least you know who owns them, right?
Exactly. But we're thinking, we can create a portal where the outside people are not allowed in. It's a private contest between the constituents and the people that decide to run. And you can keep the media out. You can be outside politicians. A lot of people that we've accepted the system that just because somebody endorses something, you're supposed to vote for them. Right. Or that you put a yard sign in your yard and your neighbor, this is 2026.
Right.
Let's apply what you do every day. You're on your mobile devices every day. We know it.
Right. And instead of calling each other fascists or commies or, whatever, you can sit there and read both ends of the argument and say, maybe they're not too far off, Maybe,
actually, I
agree with that a little bit more than I thought I did,
I don't know if we're really going to get into that because we're going to be in red and blue districts. I don't think the finalists are going to be a liberal and a conservative. I think in the red districts be a pink and maybe a little bit darker red, or maybe maybe the system emerges and both sides will be, 4 baby blues and 4 pinks. And then because I do think that in general, people agree on these issues and they're not as extreme as their representatives.
I agree with that. People like to say, they'd be like, I like to think I'm right down the middle, right? Somewhat down the middle. But, it's like, I figure, in past elections, it's always been the guy that's been towards the middle. Like Bill Clinton, he was more towards the middle. Would Bill Clinton be electable in today's politics? Probably not. Same thing with John F. Kennedy, and these guys are beloved in their party. But I don't know if they would have the same shot in today's political arena that they did, during the times that they shined.
Yeah, because I think the candidates are becoming more and more extreme. As a business and marketing person, you're saying, hey, that's creating this gap in the middle. And if you believe statistics, an ideology falls on a spectrum, you put that on a population, it's a bell curve. People are more in the middle than they are in the extremes. My joke slogan for the party is our fringe group is extremely moderate.
I like it. I like it. That's a good line. That's a good line. I like it. So, what in your background made you, like you brought up the PPP stuff? What about that PPP stuff made you get into, this whole thing? You didn't like the way that the PPP.
Well, it's the whole about the partisanship. I mean to me, it's really the people are protected in their seats and they're able to lie and do, and they actually, the system rewards them for it. The more they perform on the news channels for donors, the higher a chance that they can, move up in the ranks.
Right.
And so it's just, we've created, a bad incentive system, and I wanted to create a better incentive system. And
I would say that yeah, you have people that are rewarded, especially by the media, for saying crazy shit,
right
out there. And it does have a way of pulling people aside. And I wanted to bring this up too because I always used to talk about this in my political science class way back in the day. But like when you have a primary process, especially today, and you have all these guys lined up. Like let's take for example, Mitt Romney when he was in the primary process. He had several guys in that primary process that made him that you start showing some popularity. You're talking about the right. So you get these guys who say some far right things, and that gains some popularity. So you have these guys that are more in the middle, more moderate, just to keep that popularity. They got to kind of start moving over that way, even though it might not be who they really are or their posture. But then later on, it's always like, well, in the primary process, you said this. Well, that wasn't really my position, but I had to just to get the nomination. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everybody say that everybody moves to the
side. Yeah.
Yeah, they're extreme for the primaries, and then they moderate for the general election and the presidency. But I that's the next challenge. I mean, I someday, if we get enough people on the system, we'd like to put together a national primary for selecting a president where everybody votes on the votes. I'm not allowed. They're not voting. They're putting their approvals in, and we do a multi-round elimination down to a top 4, top 2, maybe use the same kind of sequencing. But to me, this is like a sandbox. We can play with it, and we don't, because as long as nobody spends money, it's legal.
Right.
And it's interesting that the loophole is the thing that everybody hates about the system. And money.
So, like, with that, people talk about Dominion making tons of money, stuff like that. How would you guys make money doing this? Selling the licensing, or would it be open source kind of thing, or how would that work?
The beauty of the way we're doing this, and this is, I formed a 527 committee back January 3rd, 2021, and to launch a party. But a party, the only money that can come into it has to be from an individual United States citizen, no more than $5,000 in any given year. So we can't sell this, we can't advertise, you know what I mean? And my approach is to make everything public domain, and that we'll make this configurable, that it can be used at municipal level, it can be used for judgeships. But to really get to really raise money, I think we have to do something impactful, and this is the biggest problem in the country. I think if you can, get the message out, I could get a lot of $10 donations that would, build the backbone that we could advertise what we're doing and attract the super PAC. So,
absolutely. So, is there a way to donate to your cause for this?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll put those links up for everybody after. Yeah. After this, I'll make sure you email me those so I can put those up on there.
Yeah, if you go to mainstreetparty.org, trust me, the donate button is prominent.
Well, we'll get that up.
And also, if you don't have money to donate, what we really appreciate is to sign our change.org petition that costs nothing. We're trying to show that this idea is traction. So people go on there, and that button is right next to the donate button. And you can go to change.org and endorse our petition. But yeah, I think traction is huge. We got to show that money's helpful. We've got the app, this beta version is pretty close to being the point where I want to show it off. And
right. The finished product to really show everybody. Absolutely.
But you can see that, you can see just by looking at it, yes, I could be listening to this person pitching me on why I should vote for them.
Right, absolutely. Putting their best foot forward, and it's like you
Yeah.
said, it's fair, so you don't have money dominating the election. So if somebody's completely outraised in an election, they're not, their voice isn't going to get buried amongst
Yeah.
everything like that. I think that's huge.
Yeah, to enter the contest, you're not allowed to have a political committee formed. And if you spend money before you have a political, you're breaking federal law. So the law actually supports this, us keeping this legal. If somebody's willing to violate federal election law to cheat in this contest, and they'll get thrown out, because we're going to be committed to enforcing rules. Nobody wants to enforce rules.
Right. So what would you say your biggest beef is with the current primary system, the way it sits right now?
Well, it's rigged. I mean, I don't mean it's rigged in terms of that they can't count votes. I think it's rigged in the sense that, an incumbent comes into the primary with, $500,000 or $1 million, and for somebody to compete against them has no Q rating, and it's one round. So I think the idea of doing things in 5 rounds, like the incumbent would be in our contest, but other people would have a chance to elevate up and go up against them. And certainly if you're an incumbent and you said you were going to do these X, Y, and Z 7 things, and you do those 7 things, then the district ought to know they can trust you. You might get voted out anyway.
Right.
But
depending on what the topic is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is the way it's supposed to be. That the founders want us to have fluidity in how we are represented, and they did that because every 2 years to do that. They didn't do this so that people could serve a 36-year term in 2-year increments.
I agree. Yeah. Or start out with a salary of $200K and retire 30 years later with $36 million somehow.
Yes, I mean, they're outperforming the stock market by like 12%.
You ever see any of these things? Now they have these like AI things where you can track their politicians' stock trades, and it's like Pelosi's up like 500% for the year, like beating the stock market by a crazy amount. Like that should never happen. And I've said it before too. I think you got some people that are like I'd like to see businessmen come out that have made their money. They're not money hungry anymore. They're secure in who they are, and they say, I want to serve the American people, And a lot of times, at least in the past, those have been the candidates that have been the toughest to gain traction just because they don't have the political following like somebody does that's been sitting in their seat for 30-some years, running.
Yeah, and they succeeded at business not because they were performing for customers. You don't do that. Right. Unless you're an actor. And that can be a path. To me, this gets back to a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And if we don't have people, not just business people, but be your postman or somebody that worked in the park service or served their country in the military. I mean, there's so many ways that people could just represent our values. You don't have to manage anything.
Right, I agree, and that's a big part of it too. The values, 100%, and and like you said, sometimes with all that money and that advertising stuff, we don't ever really get a feel for people's values because a lot of times it's just slander. All you get is the worst of these two people, most of the time.
And you really don't know how they're going to vote. I mean, this is the whole thing. And then there's people pressuring, hey, if you don't vote, man, we're going to put somebody in there against you. And then they vote.
Right.
Yeah. It's so predictable.
It is, yeah. And you see that, too, with a lot of, Republicans. They will, make backdoor deals, especially in Congress, just to secure a vote that they might need down the road or all of this. And it's just like, man, there's some backdoor deals going on that I don't know if I like, and there's some shady stuff going on. I think transparency is huge, especially in the election process. All of that, you add that transparency, and people won't be talking about, I don't trust the election results anymore. People will say, it was what it was. I trust it. It was fair. It was free, and that was it. That's what I think. That's what I think is huge.
And I think part of it is that we do a really bad job at defending the accuracy of the elections. And I think with a modern system, you can do it with graphic visuals. You make the polling location smaller. Maybe it's an apartment building or a grade school district. And you could go in there and see a map. And there's a yellow dot there. He died.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's ways to do this. I think the fact that this is a mystery and they're not able to really articulate how they do checksums and make sure that all the data rolls up to the right number. I think the other thing is that the proof is in the pudding. If the person wins American Idol can't sing, there's something wrong with the voting system.
Right.
And so if we produce if we produce candidates that look like they're representative, that's really the proof is in the pudding.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? I'll put the website up for you so that way you can show that way people can go there.
No, I got to do my shout out for James Wilson. I mean, all this goes back to James Wilson, the man who added the words "and equal" to the free, what had been for 100 years, a free election clause. And after he rewrote the Pennsylvania Constitution in 1790, almost every state just copied that Constitution. I mean, because it was seen as like a work of constitutional art. Right. But James Wilson, the very first law lecturer in America, he was a Supreme Court justice. He was at the University of Pennsylvania, and his keynote topic was free and equal elections. And he said it was the first duty of every state to make sure these elections are fair. And he referred to it as the fountain of democracy, original fountain of democracy, that if we poison that fountain, it spreads to all aspects of government, and that is what we have. So we have a website, wilsonsfountain.us. It's a kind of our research. There's a bunch of students that wrote papers on different aspects of Wilson's theory, and there's a video there that also explains our strategy of how these bell curves and going in to these different districts, how we're going to do this.
I love it. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Thank you again. And like I said, we'll put all those links up too for all of that. But thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a great con.
It's been a great conversation. We'll have to have you on again sometime.
I'd love to do that when the app is further along.
Amen. Hey, thank you again.
All right.
You have a great one.
Bye.
All right. So that was awesome. We had a great conversation there. And so we'll put those links up for anybody who wants to go check those out. That was awesome. And I think that there really is a better way of doing that. So it's going to take some time, but I do think in the future we have to adapt, right? There's new ways of doing things. Technology is coming out to really secure that maybe those old election ways are not the way to do it. So we can use technology to be more specific, to be more transparent, and not like we saw in 2020, where everything was not transparent and everything was shut down and we couldn't see anything for 4 years. But going with, to this, people are now showing this new footage of exactly what was going on. Actually, we'll get to that. But so this one here is of the disgraced minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, okay? They have lost all of their redistricting fights because everything that they were doing to gerrymander in the Democrats' favor was failing. So this here is a video of this. But check this one out here.
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people. That's completely and totally unacceptable. I guess part of how...
that's craziness. It's disgusting that you would even have somebody say that. But this is what these guys do. They say they want to break us mentally. They want to break us mentally. Now, you have these new footage, right? Of like Democrats kept saying that January 6th was the worst thing that ever happened. But now we get new footage of also after having Democrats admit that this was a staged thing that they were trying to use, that it was by Mitch McConnell. It was by Mitch McConnell and it was by Nancy Pelosi, and they wanted to make sure that Donald Trump never got back up from this January 6th thing. Well, it didn't work at the grace of God. But watch this video. This is the police actually beating the shit out of Trump. Started.
Make way! Make way!
Yeah, just swinging at everybody.
Make way! Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! Back up! Back up!
Like, it's quite clear that that cop should not have been out there. Like, that guy is out there swinging at everybody. And yet, the January 6th people were treated like political prisoners for like 4 years, almost 5, until President Trump pardoned them. And this is all while you have Democrats breaking the laws, like left and right. And the Democrats, they're mentally ill, okay? Like, this Karen right here, she's the one that gets kicked off a plane because videos don't lie.
Called me names and insulted me just for sitting down the seat saying that I came here to celebrate today.
Guys wearing a Trump hat.
I would like for him to change seats with someone.
No, I'm going to get somebody. Well, you don't have that right. So I will get somebody to come and talk.
You pretend you have the moral high ground, but you put that man's finger on the nape of your butt. That man doesn't believe in climate change. Do you believe in gravity? Did you know gravity is just a theory? Right. Where? I beg your I paid for this seat and I'm sitting in it. He is in my space.
She's causing hostilities.
I'm going home now. My mother-in-law, his mother, died. He had to be here. I'm going home. There is no way I'm getting off this plane. Fine, I'll be quiet.
Her husband's like, shut the fuck up, lady.
I'm going to be important in my home.
Oh, she's going to work.
My mother-in-law. My husband lost his mother. Have some respect.
And I'm terribly sorry for that, but that does not give you the right to treat me the way you treat me. What if free trade states and quiets down? How would that be? Obviously, at this point, the captain is already in call. It's no longer. The captain doesn't have his down what you always say.
Let's try that.
Please ask him again if we can
She doesn't fly outside of Portland, honey.
My husband lost his mother. Sorry. My husband lost his mother.
Please ask him again if we settle down, is that going to be okay? What if we trade seats and she quiets down? How would that be?
That husband's like, oh my god, this lady's miserable.
Man, we're waiting on you.
I'm American. You're a citizen.
Very pleasant woman there. But these are the people that are calling you maggots. Remember that. These are the people on the other side of the computer that are calling you maggots. Now, the Democrats, who have never had any, in the last 20, 30 years, nobody's tried to kill a Democrat. Nobody. Thank God. Nobody's tried, like they did with Republicans. But it made a lot of people question this one, because AOC all of a sudden, you know, like, was there a threat? Like, what happened exactly that made it looks like she took that video down, but it's pretty crazy. Let's see if we can find it. But essentially, AOC was spotted behind bulletproof glass for some reason. And everybody's asking
because it is not a coincidence, and our whole country must understand that it was not until voting rights were ratified in this country that we got the Great Society. Because when Black Americans have the right to vote and that vote is protected, our schools get funded. When voting rights are protected, healthcare gets expanded. When voting rights are protected, our country moves forward. In Montgomery, that's what they're actually afraid of. They're afraid of us coming together. They're afraid of us protecting one another. Alabama is the crucible. Georgia is the crucible. Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi is the crucible. So if you are not from here, it is time to pull up. Because what they thought was the final blow is actually just the opening silo.
So, going with what we were just talking about here, with like the primary elections and all of that, it's so important because if you did it the way that our guest just described it, you wouldn't have people like AOC dominating in these elections because people would know what's actually out there. I truly believe that. Like, money has bought her seat every single time. Now, Democrats are just are classless creatures in the fact that this is one of the new Michigan Democrats that's running. She is a twerkaholic. This is her ad.
This is what I do, because I am an ethical person. I'm classy. I'm a classy.
Real
Am I not? This is what I do, because I am an ethical person. I'm classy. I'm a classy. Am I not?
So, no, that's not classy, and that's super trashy, but you never know. These liberals will sit there and fucking vote for these types of people because they're idiots. But I digress. Ilhan Omar, she's been giving Americans the middle finger for as long as I can remember now, okay? She's been just giving people the finger. And it's kind of disgusting because she's starting to gaslight people, right? People, hey, I have receipts. You broke the law. You're caught in this fraud scandal. What's going on? And she goes, there's no fraud scandal. There's nothing going on. What are you talking about? She knows there's something going on. And she knows she's getting busted. But she just denies
doing anything. And I think it just, it gives more to the idea that this is just a made-up lie because you do not investigate someone for 10 years and not come up with anything.
So then why do you think it's still being talked about?
Because these people are disgusting. They believe in weird, creepy things, and that's why they want to believe in this weird.
And
that's all I will say.
No, definitely. Why do you think, I guess, that you're being targeted then? It's
because they're racist, they're xenophobic. I just happen to be Muslim, and I don't think you're allowed to continue from there. But,
okay. Understood.
Yeah, I mean, they're just disgusting, bigoted people. And
all right, I got to take a break here for 1 second. I got to pause this. Here's the thing. She says that they've been saying stuff about her for 10 years. They never proved anything. People have been saying that she married her fucking brother to get her U.S. citizenship. Okay? She married her brother, committed fraud. If this was not true, why hasn't she sued for defamation yet? Because it is true, and she knows it is. Continue.
And that's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you.
Doing anything, and I think.
And you see how she just smiles at the camera after that? Thanks, bye. Like, she really thinks that she's above the law and that she's going to get away with it. But these people, that's just what they do. But look at this one. This is a white liberal being crazy outside of Starbucks. Just to show you mental illness.
It's not against
This
the
woman
law.
voted for Harris.
You're ridiculous. It's not against the law. Not against the law. Not against the law. It's not against the law. Not against the law. It's not against the law. Why don't you tell them to leave it? You don't want me to block it? I'm honoring my First Amendment right to protect myself.
Ma'am, if we do touch him though, that's technically assaulting the press charge on that.
I don't care.
You don't.
You told me right now they're here.
Lock her up.
They're here to get a reaction.
Nobody gives a fuck about your feelings.
First Amendment. Well, then let's go to court.
For what?
For them making me react.
If you want to take them to civil court,
You said that that's legal. Now I'm up against you guys too. You guys are on their side. You don't even know. You can't enforce the peace.
All right, ma'am. You have a good day.
No. Don't just blow me off like that. That's gaslighting.
That's
You're on
gaslighting.
their side.
She's fucking retarded.
Go ahead and video inside.
Tell me this isn't mental illness.
First Amendment has nothing to do with violating. I asked you over and over to turn that thing off. I want the video. I want the video.
Don't touch him.
I already touched him. You're in their grass. This is Starbucks. You're in their grass. Oh, now it's my fault. I want to get you a coffee. I don't want a coffee. I want you to get rid of them.
Go home, dumb
I'm
bitch.
citizens arresting them.
Oh my god, what a dumbass.
Let's go get some coffee. There's nothing illegal for me to do this. There's nothing illegal.
We're looking for you to escalate this so that
She might actually lose some weight running around like that, though.
They need to turn it off and turn it over. I'm not in trouble. I want their names. What's their name? What is their name?
Doesn't matter.
Ma'am.
Get the fuck out of here.
What is their name? You're nothing. You're not even doing your job. I have citizens arresting them.
What's your name? What's your name?
I have citizens arresting them.
What's your name?
What is their name?
She's out of breath.
What is their name? I want to talk to you as an officer, but I'm asking you to citizens arrest them.
So right now you're.
I'm asking you to citizens arrest them. You don't want to do it, then you go inside.
They haven't committed any
You
violation.
go inside. I'm not committing any violation. I'm not committing.
they are not either.
I am not.
We're allowed to record
Well, then I'm not. Equal. We're all equal. Why don't you go inside and leave me alone too? Instead of defending them. Look at him laughing. Are you on drugs?
Are you?
Are you on drugs? What is your name? What is your name? Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs? What is your name? Are you with them? Are you conspiracy? Why are you filming me illegally? It's illegal. It's
not illegal. It's not illegal. I mean, the cops just told you it's not illegal.
Why can't you be a normal human being? What's wrong with
Right
you?
back at you, honey.
What is wrong with you?
Go home and watch The Price is Right.
What is wrong with you? Why don't you turn the thing off? Why don't you give me the video?
They just want that. That's what they're looking for. Let's not get.
I don't care what they want. You keep telling me. You keep telling me that. You keep telling me that. You keep telling me that. Why don't they turn the thing off? You have no. You don't have a gut. Are you going to talk about me now? Are you going to talk about me?
Yeah, they're going to talk
Why
about
don't you
you.
make him stop? Look at him laughing. Why don't you make him stop laughing? Yes, you can. Yes,
Your
you can.
feelings
What, you
don't
lose
matter.
your job? Or you need that paycheck so bad? I'll do your job. I'm going to do my own job. You're on Starbucks property. You're in the police. 3 policemen now said you are completely doing this on purpose.
And they
to
also
make
said
me
that
react.
he's legal, too. So get
You
the hell
will
away.
never be a gentleman.
Let's go get some water, please. Okay.
Ma'am, I don't want to do anything you tell me.
I know you.
Ever.
I'm just trying to help you.
You're not trying to help.
I am.
You're not helping me. You can call the Bureau and talk to them about it.
The mental illness on that side is strong, but this is what cops have to deal with every single day. First, it was like, hey, we don't want, first they're like, we want body cams on everything. And then it's like, now that they have the body cams out, they're showing how ridiculous these fucking people act. Now it's like Democrats want to get rid of the body cams. We need to get rid of the body cams because they make us criminals look ridiculous. And I mean, this is the type of shit that cops have to put up with every single fucking day. Now I want to show this one too. This is pretty awesome. But Trump, when he went to China, they had the U.S. Secret Service actually got into it with one of the.
We are in the motorcade with the president.
Shoemaker to Tiso, we are
still So that's the main concern now is that the security of our side do not allow you. Sir, leave this.
They are literally waiting on us.
We gotta move. We gotta go, guys. Okay, no, we gotta go. We gotta go. Go. We gotta go. We gotta move. We gotta go. Let's go.
U.S.
We're going.
Look at this.
They work a lot of
We gotta go, guys.
Let's go. He's right.
We have to go.
We gotta go. Go.
We have to go.
We are going.
Unbelievably.
U.S. press, we are going.
We would never go.
We are going. We are going. Rachel,
leave it to the Chinese to try to make shit like, you have to stay here. No, I'm an American. Keep it in your country. You can go fuck yourself.
Gentle, but we are going. Don't run over anybody. Do not do what they did to us.
Yep, run them the fuck over. Then they got the press coming out of there too.
Do you understand that we are in the motorcade with the president?
Shoemaker to Tiso, we are.
With the president. So these, and then they also stopped somebody, a Secret Service agent, from taking his gun. He's like, absolutely not. I'm going in. You can go fuck yourself. So Kevin O'Leary basically puts it on the line here. So Kevin O'Leary hits this one, and Democrats, they can't tell the truth. But this is Kevin O'Leary.
Is that there are people in this country who fought, died, and bled for the right to vote. Don't be a dick. Just understand.
Okay. Bakari,
just
please.
I'm not
understand.
A dick. I'm
pointing something out to you. The Constitution is being upheld. Do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem with the Constitution of the United States of America? Bakari, I'm going to.
Is that there are people in this country who fought, died, and bled for the right to vote. Don't be a dick. Just understand.
Bakari,
just
please.
I'm not
understand.
A dick. I'm pointing something out to you. The Constitution is being upheld. Do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem with the Constitution of the United States of America?
They do. They do have a problem with the Constitution because the Constitution always goes against the Democrats and their unconstitutional things they keep pushing. Every idea that a Democrat has always involves taking away my rights or taking away more of my hard-earned money. I don't like it. Because especially when you have, these are the type of people. This is Katie Porter. She's running for governor.
Congresswoman, thank you for coming on. I should note that we don't have evidence that Steyer leaked that video of you. If you have it, please bring it. And also, you said some pretty tough stuff about Javier Becerra. If he wants to come back on the show, he is more than welcome to do that as well. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I mean, everything about this woman, she is just the nastiest bitch you've ever seen. But this is Katie Porter yelling at her aide, okay? And this woman is just miserable. Katie Porter, if we can even find her here. This woman is just a miserable woman. But I actually found this one here. So this one here is the Portland Communist Mayor. Check this one out.
I also want to share that I am excited to apply to enroll my own soon-to-be 3-year-old daughter, Josephine, in the Seattle preschool program. And, my own childcare arrangements received a little bit of attention last year. So I just want to underscore that tuition is based on a sliding scale, which means that, yes, I will be paying my fair share to enroll my daughter in this exceptional public program, just like Director Chappelle did. I also want to share that I am excited to...
So, she's just proud of herself for putting her kid in a program. And she's like, I'm going to pay my fair share. I'm still looking for this video of Katie Porter yelling at her people. to get out of her shot, but they might have even like scrubbed the internet from this because she's running, and it was like something where, you know, yeah, they're not showing these videos anymore. Oh, here it is. Watch this.
State could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
This is her.
State could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. State could lose.
She is such a pleasant person, but she is one of the leading candidates for governor right now in California. I'm going to leave you with this one. Long neck, piece of shit, Adam Schiff is still out there, but he's still breaking the law. He's
than that, the chairman of the House Intel Committee doesn't have declassification authority over these types of documents. They are made available to Congress under very tightly controlled rules. This has been a source of tension for years. And members of both parties have gone out of their way to assure that this material would be closely held and not weaponized. Schiff was viewed as one of the most political chairs of that committee in its history. And this is a truly chilling account, if true. Now, when I first read it, frankly, I was taken aback because it's perfectly moronic to commit such a felony with a planning conference meeting with staff. That's not usually how things are leaked in Washington, D.C. What makes this different, Will, is that this was a statement made to FBI agents. The person who made this statement was no doubt aware that lying to FBI agents is not just a crime, but a crime that was repeatedly prosecuted during prior administrations, including the Obama and Biden administrations.
Right.
So making this statement puts you at risk. That's why someone's lying here and someone's a felon.
Okay, well, let's just for a moment hypothetically take this whistleblower at their word. Let's assume for a moment that it's true, Professor. What kind of punishment follows for leaking classified information?
Well, this is a very significant punishment. You can have, in addition to having multiple counts, you can easily go 10 years in terms of sentence, if not more, depending on the circumstances and the number of violations. Each of these leaks is an individual violation. Each of these documents would likely be charged as a violation. That type of count stacking is precisely what Mueller and others did. Remember, these are very similar to the types of claims made against Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, that he removed material and improperly stored them. There were also allegations that he might have revealed them to third parties. But this is much more serious in one sense. Trump was accused of negligence in most of these counts. This would be a premeditated criminal act to release classified information to damage one's political opponent.
And that's exactly what the Democrats did all those years ago, discussing that they have done that. But that's what the Democrats do. They cheat, they lie, they steal. And that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with another guest. We have a great lineup coming up, so stick around. God bless every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Keep the faith and get out there and talk shit to a liberal today. Thanks so much for watching. You guys have a great week.